Ready to go?
Yep.
Ready?
Yep.
Fitz. What do we got?
From at Sigi1029, how do mobility limitations affect velocity?
He would ask that. That's awesome. All right, cool. Good question. Gary, you wanna start off with that one?
Yeah, I'll start off with that one. So, biggest thing is getting an assessment first off, especially in a controlled environment, and seeing if there's a limitation in the movement itself. Not so much the skill of that movement, but just understanding that there's an actual movement limitation in the weight room or in a controlled environment to allow that might limit him in the skill of actually pitching.
So I think about it like this, and we use this analogy a lot with guys. It's like, as a pitching coach, and as pitchers, a lot of times we immediately want to think about the drill that's going to fix the problem, right? So if I do a shout out Pro Play AI here, but if I do a biomechanics analysis with Pro Play AI, right? And I look at a guy and I see, man, he doesn't rotate or he doesn't do X, whatever the X is, right? Immediately I want to put him, and a lot of times I want to put him into, if we do a roll-in, if we do a rocker throw, if we do one of these different constraint drills, this could be how we fix it. And immediately athletes typically want to go to a drill to fix the problem. In reality though, if it's a physical limitation, a range of motion issue, you may not be able to get into a certain position that's going to help you throw harder or give you more time to accelerate in this case. And that's where we go back to the assessments. Like Garrett and I in our discussions, a lot of times with our athletes, it's what do you see from the biomechanics report and what do you see from the range of motion screen from a mobility standpoint, right? We compare and contrast those two together. We try to figure out, okay, for example, I think a good example is we had one athlete who didn't rotate very well to one side, and we saw some some overall strength issues, and so we were saying, okay, well, if he's got an issue rotating that way, it's definitely going to affect the rotation we were seeing on the mound. So, and sure enough, when we saw the biomechanics report, we saw that same issue expose itself with the biomechanics report. So, there's this compare and contrast aspect of things. I think another note to that too is and you can touch on this a little bit, but the idea of becoming really good at testing. If we do a range of motion screen once and then we do it again at the end of the month or another month over, we might see substantially different things. I think there's an idea behind testing too.
We have guys test from time to time, and each test they get a little bit better at it, just like anything else you do. If you do one thing, you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get better at doing it. So there is a testing part of it where we need to know, are they getting better at testing or are they actually increasing range of motion? That's why assessing guys over and over and over to see those changes or to see if they're holding steady at those ranges of motion that we want to see is really where we want to have them at, and doing that multiple times throughout the year.
So for our range of motion screen, we have a biomechanics suit, and we ask guys to get to in range. And so one of the issues with that is if you've never done that before, that may be a whole new concept to you, or you don't know really how to push to true in range, right? So your range of motion, your range of motion might be substantially different in assessment number 1 versus assessment number 2. It's strictly because you're learning how to actually assess. Mm-hmm. You're actually learning how to push yourself through what you did previously in your previous score. So there's something to be said about that as well in terms of how to measure mobility. But yeah, in terms of directly answering the question, like you're hearing Garrett say, like you're hearing me say, it's kind of this combination between two sides that if you have a limitation in your mobility, chances are it's going to limit the way that you move on the mound, which will ultimately limit the positions you get in and the acceleration you have. So that would ultimately affect ball velocity. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Quick note before we go, Casey. For anybody out there that has any questions for the KP staff, make sure that you leave your question in the comments down below. Slap a like on this post, and keep an eye out for KP Stories. We're going to be leaving a question box there for you to leave questions as well.
Dang, Fitz. You're right line for line. Excellent. Awesome stuff.
Nice.